Mark said in his speech before, it becomes such a competitive advantage for early adopters of IoT.
I'm St. Joseph Belton. I'm the CMO with SizeRx, which is probably a company you'll never hear of, even though we're a publicly traded company. We do big data analytics for mobile and IoT devices, so we're sort of behind the scenes in it. We're actually a creation of two companies. The first company was Air Patrol, which was a company that came out of a cybersecurity project by a certain paranoid three-letter agency that wanted to be able to detect mobile devices in a building, anything that was emitting a radio. So that would be Wi-Fi, cellular, Bluetooth, whatever it was. They wanted to be able to detect it. They wanted to be able to identify it. They wanted to know how quickly it was moving through a building, where it came, where it went, what it was doing at that moment, so that when they found out where it was, they could send people to shoot it. The other side of the business is SizeRx, which actually, the claim to fame of SizeRx is that back in the 60s, our founder developed the first automated drafting system for the NFL. In fact, if you go on ESPN Films, you'll see the movie Cowboys and the Indian. That's about our founder, who developed the original drafting system for the Cowboys, analytic drafting system for the Cowboys, and then went on to do it for the entire NFL, so sort of Moneyball 20, 30 years before. About a year and a half ago, SizeRx, which was primarily data scientists doing deep analytics on stuff, bought Air Patrol Corporation to develop an IoT analytics system, which is what we do now, which is basically, we look at any kind of device within a space that's emitting a signal. We do analysis on it and decide, in the purposes of cybersecurity, it might be, why is the Coke machine talking to someone's cellular phone? Why is this device moving through the building when there's no one associated with it? We have installations in major airports throughout the world where they have security, they want to know what devices are doing if they're unattended, they want to know how people are moving through the building. If they see a lot of people all of a sudden stop, or cellular phones stop in a certain area, or suddenly there's a device emitting a lot of signals in a place it wasn't, they want to know about those kind of things. We do major office buildings, smart cities, so we can tie in sensor data from air quality sensors and thermometer sensors outside to traffic signals to determine whether to make lights go faster or slower in smart cities to move traffic more smoothly. And then analytics and other real-world things like mobile gaming. What games do people play when they're sitting on a train versus when they're sitting in an airplane or in an airport terminal? How do we optimize those so that people will spend more time in game, or optimize it so that they will use some service more? And that's what we do.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to start off with you because the data analytics world is expanding rapidly. Almost every group within the IoT space is needing to use it in some way, shape, or form, and is touting it. And it's getting more and more confusing in the sense that how are people paying for it? Where does it sit? Does it sit on the end device? How is it being used? That sort of. So give us a quick education as to what you're seeing people willing to pay for. What are they doing with that data from an economic standpoint? Does it make sense? Do you have to have it? Should you have it? How does that fit in?
So initially, in the security arena, of course, it was a sort of cover your butt. You want to know what you don't know about the environment you're in. And that was an easy play. Where we're seeing a lot of traction these days is actually the early adopters are people in retail and marketing. That's why they actually sent the marketing guys to the president. Is that the early adopters in these things that we're seeing is in retail and commercial applications with people, because retailers discover when they finally see how people move through a building, when they block off one exit or they bump out of the wall a little bit, how does that change a flow pattern? Can I optimize this window so that people travel through? Do I position my checkout kiosk here or over there? And if you look at like shopping malls and things like that, shopping mall owners, the big ones, Westfield, Simon, things like that, they are basically property managers, and their job is to squeeze every penny out of every square inch of that. So everything in there is analyzed to death, and they have infrared counters to know how many people are by, how long you're staying, what the temperature of the building is. We have mobile sensors, because everybody carries a cell phone, so they know about how many people are in there, whether they're in a call or out of a call. Are they data shopping? Are they showrooming while they're in the store? And how do I get them to move on? Can I push something to them? These guys, because they move on a quarter-to-quarter basis as opposed to this long-term business thinking, are the ones that we see that are putting the real value into it, because around and say, I got a 30% uplift in sales just by changing this display when it's snowing outside. We change it to rain boots or something like that. The longer term guys that are finally catching on is what we're finding behind that is, so it was the marketers were the first guys, and now the business analysts are going, well, wait, can we apply this to our operations? So in the case of malls, now we have human resources people that are looking at when they see long queue times. They know, we know in airports that if you ever go through the Newark airport, the longest time to be in the TSA line there is between 5 and 6 p.m. And just a 30% increase in traffic will change your wait time through the TSA security queue from about 12 minutes to almost a half an hour. And so they know just by adding one extra person, they can keep the queue times down to 12 minutes on those kind of things. So it becomes an operational after marketing's proved it's worked for them, and marketing's done all the sort of the out there spending. So that's where we're seeing it move. Eventually, I think it'll get deep into business.
And how are people paying for it?
So multiple models. Sometimes it's a CapEx model. Sometimes it's an OpEx model. In cybersecurity, they always want to buy it, own it, and keep it in there, and so they have it budgeted, and it just comes out of the security budget that they've already got. In the retail world, stuff like that, usually it's a lease option. They don't want to have the stuff in there permanently. They're just renting, and they're actually renting the data as well. And so they just take that data, aggregate it from multiple places, and then learn how people in Cincinnati are different than people in mall in San Francisco, and then give it all back. And it's just a month-to-month fee, and it's usually just tacked directly onto whatever the revenue of the stores is and stuff like that.
Mike, by the way, yesterday was great. A great day, great developer conference, great talking, and it was amazing. And I think the portal idea that you guys have launched yesterday was extraordinary because you've morphed so much from this module company, which people have originally thought that Tele was going to be forever, to now providing a complete solution through a portal with the platforms, Greg's title changing from everything else. Why the portal? Do you think that companies that are in this ecosystem needed it? It makes it easier to deploy, cost effective?
Well, yeah, I mean, our guiding principle as a company is reduce time to market and reduce technical risk. And I think the add on that is to make things easier and less complex. IoT is complex, and so I think the portal is addressing, like I said, it's kind of a more of a nascent need, but something that I think we're going to see a lot more in the future of complexity. I mean, you don't want to be managing 4 or 5 different systems, and you want to have one view into all of your remote devices. You don't care which technology, what transport technology, everything. So that I think is that's the kind of the interesting thing about the portal. And again, it's not on the app today, but I think anyone in the space who's developing IoT solutions needs to be thinking about what's next. I mean, we are going down a classic technology adoption curve, and there are certain things that happen at certain times. And so I think people are smart to kind of look at the past and see what you can do about projecting onto the future and making sure that you are coming out with the right product, the right service, at the right time. That's an important lesson for all of us.
Excellent. John, from what you guys do, we're looking at so many people who are looking at that UI and looking at what they're seeing on that handheld and as it relates to the IoT industry. Tell us something that you're seeing customers asking for today that they weren't asking for even a year ago. Is there something innovative that you're providing that they're asking for you to help them with?
Well, I think with mobile, the user interface is even more important than it is for desktop applications. And then again, with connected devices, instead of a screen that's only 2 inches across, you're working with a screen that's 1 inch across. And so that's part of it. And then the other part is, you can't sell a $100 thermostat that's hard to program and your VCR wasn't 80. So I think it's not as controversial to say that design is critical. I mean, nobody would have said that it's not at all important, but I think that it's becoming, it's easier to get someone to budget more for design and spending more time on it than it used to be. But it's still oftentimes a challenge. We work a lot with companies that have built hardware for years, and they're maybe somewhat slower moving, and they haven't really had to pay much attention to design. They have some firmware engineers, they might have a designer or a couple of designers in the department somewhere that maybe used to different marketing materials, something along those lines. And that's a bit of a challenge to say, okay, 20% of the budget is just going to go towards design, and we need to spend 3 weeks before we can start working on the software side. But I think the change has been that you no longer have to sell design itself, you're just selling what design is, and kind of helping people understand the broader scope that a user experience designer works in.
Excellent. And Pradeep, we've been doing fleet tracking forever, right? It's the oldest verticals in the end-to-end world that we live in. So, and it's not saturated, but it's a lot more and more people are, because it's cost effective to be able to do that, whether it's through the ODP port or however, it's now there. Where do you see the industry headed? Is it more sensors? Is it more information? How are you going to continue to build your business and have those verticals continue to grow?
Yes, so fleet track is probably the oldest of the IoT M2M, and the one that has been monetized. The rest of the things are still in its infancy. And, one segment of the business is getting to be pretty commoditized. There is a huge amount of scope internationally because the penetration is still quite low. There is definitely scope within, not just of course tracking the vehicles, also the people and mobile resource management along with fleet tracking, more features, getting more data from the agents, moving into going beyond fleets into unpowered assets. There are millions of containers coming into jet sets that are located in fracking sites and remote locations. And, so it's not just about tracking a long-haul truck on the highway. It is about any and every kind of powered and unpowered asset that will be located, whether it's in Alaska or in Saudi Arabia, and monitoring these under very complex, challenging connectivity conditions as well as various other operational environmental conditions. There will always be the commoditized, where is my truck market, but there are also more nuanced, niched markets for.
So, this is open to the panel. So, it's like you said, we got this number 50 billion, number 20 billion, 45 billion. You guys said yesterday 100 million for you guys, going up to 150 million. I was a keynote 2 weeks ago here at IoT Evolution in Vegas, and I don't really care about the numbers. I just care as we're all making money in this business, right? So for the panel, everybody, what are the top 2 biggest challenges you face today in your businesses? Because we all have executives here. There's so many of them, right? There's so many barriers to entry. People are looking at ROIs differently than they were even 2 years ago. So give me your top challenges that you have as a company in this space.
Start with me?
Yes.
I would say one of the biggest bottlenecks to IoT is the constantly shifting wireless landscape. This whole thing, at least stuff that's built on cellular, is built on consumer technology that is changing every 3 or 4 years. IoT, the things are wired into equipment for 7, 8, 9 years once. So you spend a lot of time selling the